Town.
This is the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA, a weekly recap of your Eagles and news around the NFL. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Rob's Automotive and Collision, BCWSA, Chickies and Pete's, Begley, Carlin and Mandio Law Firm, Penworth Financial Services, Penn Community Bank, The Capitol Grill, and Ventresca's LTD. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA. Now, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBSports.com. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. We are tonight at Chickie and Pete's in Warrington, PA, right up 611, kind of sort of near where I grew up, at Cheltenham High School, about 20 minutes from here. Andrew, good to see you.
Great to be with you, Adam.
We're Chickie Pete's in Warrington, PA, and our on-site producer is Chris Ermer. And Andrew, as the opening came, we talked. The announcer says, hey, all the news, right? Well, there's a lot of news around the Eagles. We're going to talk about, on tonight's show, we're going to talk about their free agent group. They've got a ton of them. We're going to specifically do offense, okay? That factors into the offensive coordinator search. That continues to be ongoing. You've got the Super Bowl matchup. We're going to talk also about what just happened and what's going to happen going forward in Santa Clara next week. I'll be there on Radio Row and so forth, which you've been to before. Mm-hmm. And also, Andrew, it's just kind of the state of the Eagles as we go forward here. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the Super Bowl matchup. Let's talk about the first game that we had. The Patriots-Broncos. I'll admit it, I thought the Broncos would win the game. Weather was a factor. But, man, it was just one of these games where you go, man, weather, second half completely changed the game as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I had the Broncos in that one too, and it looked like it was going to be in our favor. Jarrett Stidham with a deep shot there. It looked like he was sort of settling in. And then you saw the stark contrast throughout the game, right? It was winter wonderland by the third quarter, and it just seemed like, it seemed like the Patriots were going to be able to control the lead there because neither offense was doing much in the way of moving the football. In hindsight, they probably should have taken the field goal, the Broncos, early in that game. But, it was a sloppy game, no less. I think Drake May threw for just 86 yards, made a big-time play at the end of that game to seal it. But not a great game. And then, obviously, the game that followed was a pretty good one. That
was fireworks. But that Denver game, and I guess they've dismissed their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, reportedly, I think, according to NFL Network. He doesn't call the plays, but, man, Joe Lombardi's been with Sean Payton in Denver and New Orleans. He got an offensive coordinator job calling plays for Detroit. It didn't last very long. Players didn't really buy in, but he's a good football coach. I mean, that's insane that you make the Super Bowl and you're firing a coach.
Well, yeah, they're one step shy.
Excuse me. You get the championship game. The weather was terrible.
It was a bad. Yeah, I think you can't be a prisoner of the moment in those circumstances, and you have to look at the demonstrated performance. And I think Joe Lombardi, by and large, has done a nice job, especially with Bo Nix this season, making that leap forward. Early on in that game, I thought Jarrett Stidham was fine, and then the weather started to play a factor. I think that was sort of a knee-jerk reaction in my estimation.
Andrew, if Bo Nix doesn't break his right ankle, okay, in the divisional round, who the heck knows?
They're probably in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, now I understand weather was a factor last week. And now this is my problem with Sean Payton. He's a great football coach. But if yours truly looks like the hour forecast all week.
I know you do.
I'm obsessed with weather. He has to know that the second half is going to be impossible. And I'm someone who goes for it. I know the analytics will say go for it. But you've got a quarterback who had not started a game since 2023, and he looked like it, by the way, in Jarrett Stidham.
Sure did.
And Sean said during the week, you're not worried about him. That's one of the guys he's least worried about. Stidham kept, it's called shuffling his feet or backtracking. He kept fading back. That that intentional grounding and the backwards pass play, you can't have that happen.
Change the game.
Totally changed the game.
It changed the game, but you saw the happy feet, and he started to revert back to the Jarrett Stidham that we saw earlier in his career. And I think in that circumstance, in a game of that magnitude, Adam, as you said, you have to take those points. You have to help out your quarterback, build a lead, knowing that the weather is going to be treacherous later on in that game, and then you kind of let the chips fall where they are. But once the Patriots had that small lead, it didn't feel like they were going to relinquish it.
And that's exactly what the Patriots did. They said, we're not throwing the football. We're not going to let Drake May be a factor throwing the football. Now, he was with his feet. I mean, he scrambled, and May did a good job there. But, overall, that was a tough game. So the Patriots find a way. Now, I know people are killing them. They had a soft schedule. You can only play who's on your schedule. No question. They're not a great team. They're not super talented. But never underestimate the value of coaching.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Mike Vrabel and his ability to change the culture there in New England. They have a lot of young coaches there who I really like. Thomas Brown, who's their tight ends coach and their pass game coordinator, has done a really nice job orchestrating that aerial attack for New England. And I think Mike Vrabel has just done a really nice job of filling out his coaching staff. And, yes, they don't have a lot of marquee players on either side of the ball. Stephon Diggs going to the Super Bowl. But apart from that, they're not an overly explosive offense. They're built more on shot plays, and they play fundamentally sound on defense. But I think that's a proven recipe for success in this league.
Now, because we will not have any weather issues, we think, on an outdoor stadium in Santa Clara, California. You never know what the long-range forecast is, but they're going to face a Seattle team. That Rams-Seattle game, Andrew, let's talk about it. Your thoughts on that? I thought that was just an awesome game.
Phenomenal game, and it lived up to its billing. Matthew Stafford, high-level quarterback play as one might expect, and the same goes for Sam Darnold. And I think that there's a lot of folks who owe Sam Darnold an apology that you kept hearing throughout the season.
Me.
You kept hearing
think he could do it.
You're not alone in that, but you kept hearing throughout the season, well, let's see what happens in the postseason.
Exactly.
When is he going to turn into a pumpkin? Well, in the
I
biggest
used that line
stage,
today. I actually
did
used that
you?
line today.
Well, on the biggest stage, in the biggest game of his career, he delivered
big time
in spades, and just throwing darts all over the field. It wasn't just the checkdowns. He was really threading the needle. He was letting it rip, and then Matthew Stafford as well. And that was just a really fun game to watch.
In fact, let's get to Darnold. See, Darnold, Jalen Hurts should take after Darnold. When Sam Darnold is decisive, that ball comes out and he throws fastballs. Mm-hmm. He made some throws, some of the best throws of his career. When Darnold struggles, he gets stuck. Like his feet stay like this, and he doesn't know what to do with the football, and he gets sacked. And then they blame the offensive coordinator. When no, it's on the quarterback. There were guys hoping he just doesn't know what he's just not seeing it well.
Right.
Hurts the same. Like he holds on to the ball, holds on to it, then scrambles, and they go, "What a terrible play call." Well, no, the call was good.
Kevin Patullo's fault.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't get rid of the football. So Darnold was great. Stafford was unbelievable. He makes throws, I would say, that a lot of quarterbacks wouldn't even try.
That touchdown that he had to Jake Bobo, I think was a phenomenal throw, ripping it over the middle.
But you mean Darnold, but I'm talking about Stafford.
Oh, Stafford, yeah. Well, that throw that he had to Puka, right off the Reek Woolen penalty, which, Adam, was one of the worst penalties that you can take in that moment.
How dumb was that?
The taunting penalty, and then
So
Stafford
dumb.
goes right
So
after
dumb.
him on the next play and just lets it rip on a laser to Puka Nacua, and I thought that was going to change the game.
Tariq Woolen is a guy that they were very open to trading at the trade deadline. They didn't wind up trading him, and he's kind of still starting, but that would worry me. Now, you look at this game, they found a way to win. Their defense, which is really good. You look at the last two times that they played the Rams, they gave up a lot of points to Seahawks, but hey, they won. Patriots-Seahawks, which is the Russell Wilson-Brady game, but they're not playing in this game. That'll be fun. I definitely think the Seahawks, the fact they were one of my breakout teams this season. Last year they were 9-8, but really they kind of overachieved. I thought they'd be really good, not this good, but it's also a function of the state of the league. It's not great, but you know what? You only play the teams on your schedule. Give me an early feeling in that game?
Well, you mentioned Russell Wilson and Tom Brady, also known as the Malcolm Butler game, if I'm correct on that.
Correct, and that's one, the real story on why he was benched. People have the conspiracy theories. You wouldn't believe some that are out there, but that hurt them. He was benched.
So when I look at this game, I mean, I am so infatuated with the resurgence of that Seattle defense. Beyond their pass rush, it's their linebackers. Ernest Jones, who has sort of been cast aside by a couple different teams, has found his place there in Seattle. Drake Thomas, great story, undrafted player, finally being able to take on the lion's share of snaps at linebacker. Josh Jobe at corner, former Eagle.
How about that?
They
dude,
found him.
Andrew, tell the people, when Josh Jobe was here with the Eagles, what was his role?
He was a gunner on special teams, one of the best in the NFL. He was on the Pro Bowl ballot for the Eagles, but he was a sporadically used corner who was really handsy, drew a lot of penalties, sort of fell out of favor there with Vic Fangio, because I asked Vic about Josh Jobe and his progress, and he said he's getting too many PI calls. And he sort of fell out of favor with the coaching staff and was relegated to special teams. Well, it looked like when the Eagles parted with him, Adam, that could spell the end of his career or towards the end of his career. Seattle found him, and they really worked with him and developed him. I think you have to give a lot of credit to their coaching staff, and he's played well. Look,
he's a starter.
They're going to go after him.
Start on the outside.
Who's the defensive back coach? Carl.
Sure.
He went to Alabama. He coached at Alabama, but he coached Josh Jobe at Alabama.
Oh,
and the Eagles almost had him.
That stuff matters.
Yeah, I think just the overall development from a lot of the different.
Sure, that's
players.
why he's there.
I mentioned Drake Thomas, who
number 42. This dude, it's another one. Like, who is it? I was like, I've seen him play a little bit because with these weird numbers, his hair is on fire. Literally, he's got a lot of hair. But
yeah, Ty Okada, their safety.
Ty Okada, yeah.
He's made some nice
Good
plays.
Story,
He's a pretty big hitter. But yeah, Carl Scott, his name's Carl Scott. That's the defensive.
The Eagles actually tried to. They interviewed him. It's Carl with a K. He's their passing game coordinator, and he's also that's the nice title, but he's really the defensive backs coach. But wow, that's a great find. Josh Jobe, to me, Andrew, was their fifth corner, no better from the Eagles, and a special teams player. And people got upset. Oh, he's a starter now. Well, there comes a point where if a coach doesn't believe in you, none of the coaches believe in him to be a quality corner, they had no trade value, just cut him. And look, sometimes it's like when Eagles get somebody and he turns out to be a good player, well, why did they trade him?
Right. But I was probably in the minority because I always believed that Jobe could play. Talking to him when I did my rookie diary for InsideTheBirds.com with Eli Ricks, he lockered next to Eli. And if you were to tell me back then that one of those two guys would be out of the league and one would be, playing in a Super Bowl, starting in a Super Bowl, I would have thought, well, maybe Eli Ricks.
Super Bowl?
Exactly. Maybe Eli Ricks. But no, it's quite the opposite. Eli Ricks is currently out of the league as a young corner with high pedigree, and Josh Jobe is getting ready to start in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, both were undrafted free agents, and I mean, you've got to give them credit. That is an incredible situation because he passed through waivers on claim, and then went to Seattle's practice squad last year and worked his way up to be a starter. I mean, and you got to look. The guy's going to make some money over his career. This is an amazing story. Good for Josh Jobe. We're not haters here.
No, I'm quite the opposite with Josh.
Him.
Yeah, I covered him and I got to know him, and he didn't really talk a lot, but he got to know me from me speaking to Eli every single week for the rookie diary series, and so I watched that and I look at it and think back to some of our conversations, and he's making it happen.
It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. We're at Chicky and Pete's in Warrington, PA, and we will tell you what we're going to talk about next. That is going to be the state of the Eagles roster. I look forward to talking about this, Andrew, because there's so many questions. And again, it does play into that offensive coordinator search. Because if you're a coordinator, if you're interviewing for an offensive coordinator job, you want to know who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's my quarterback, what can I run, what can't I run. So more on that and more. You're listening to the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Go where the players go. Come join us all season for Eagles pep rallies, watch parties, and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice cold draft beer, world famous food, and fan-friendly fun for every Eagles game. Every Monday night in South Philly, the Jordan Mailata Show, presented by Miller Lite, followed by Chicky and Pete's Players Lounge with a current player, hosted by Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250.
At Penn Community Bank, we're in the business of building thriving communities. That means breaking down the barriers to home ownership, supporting fair, affordable access to housing from Philadelphia to the Lehigh Valley, like our Home Opportunity Mortgage that empowers eligible borrowers with no minimum credit score, no down payment, access to grant programs, and so much more. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/home for more details. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. We're Chickie and Pete's in Warrington, PA, right up 611. This segment, by the way, is sponsored by the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689. That's 215-806-3689. So, Andrew, the Eagles, I don't say dreaded, but it's taken, we're technically in the third week. If you just look at when Kevin Patullo was removed. Now, I'm told that he's got a job waiting for him with the Eagles. If he wants to stay, it will not be the same. It's going to be more, Andrew, like because he was really kind of the chief of staff for many of his years with the Eagles, in addition to whatever title he held. But he handled a lot because he's so close to Sirianni. He knows what he wants. Mm-hmm. That matters. They hired a guy named Cole Peterson to handle a lot of administrative stuff. But from a coaching standpoint, Kevin would filter a lot of the stuff, but he couldn't do it last season because he was the offensive coordinator calling the plays. But from what I understand is he's got a job coming back if he wants it as sort of like that behind-the-scenes guy, but that's all he would do. So he's got to figure out what he's going to do the rest of his career here going forward. But on this particular search, Andrew, I mean, we're up to like who they've either interviewed in person or Zoomed, I think, 13 or 14 people.
I think like 13.
Yeah, it's way more than you should only have like – now, again, obviously, they don't control guys turning it down or getting hired elsewhere or not being available or being blocked. Jeff and I talked about our Monday morning show. We knew that Clayton Adams absolutely was blocked as the non-play calling offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, which you can do by league rules because it's seen as a lateral move. Though it would be play calling, it's by title. It's stupid the way that the NFL does it. Then we also heard that Declan Doyle was leaning towards not going any further with the Eagles, and it got reported the next day that he took his name out. What we were told was that he knows he's a young guy. It's a big step up for him. But someone told me it's smart to him to take the interview because 29 years old, you've never interviewed for something like that in your life. Get the practical experience. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was smart. But what I would tell you is what we talked about 2 weeks ago on Inside the Birds. We were told that Brian Daboll was not coming to Philly with an asterisk. If he didn't get a head coaching job, and for some reason, and I knew it would not happen because the head coach of the Titans and the general manager both wanted Daboll. It wasn't just one of them, both wanted him. I was like, if he doesn't get the Raiders head coaching job. So, Andrew, I'm not saying we have any idea who it's going to be because the Eagles are still going through this.
Right.
I just find it interesting that they've looked at a lot of different guys from different coaching trees.
Yeah, and I get the sense from the fan base that there's some angst there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit,
right?
But look, this is an exhaustive search. And one thing we should also say is that I think there's a lot of conflating out there between someone who gets an interview and it doesn't always equal an offer.
Sure.
Right? In order to decline, you have to get the offer. And I think that there's a lot of conflating that you see out there. But look, this is something that you could look at it from a perspective of saying the Eagles are searching high and low. They're taking their time. It's a meticulous search. They have high expectations, right? They have an urgency to win now, and they're trying to maybe learn from previous mistakes or successes in the past and make sure that they're talking to different candidates. And as you know, when you talk to all these candidates, sometimes you're trying to be you're on a fact-finding mission. You're trying to seek information. It's not always that you're interviewing. You're trying to see whether it's a quarterback coach. What's your approach to coaching quarterbacks here? What are some of your tendencies? Just some examples.
How do you see the game? Right.
How do you see the game? Right. So I personally don't view it through the same lens that a lot of the fan base is, and wanting the Eagles. They're not obligated. They're not beholden to a certain timeline in the NFL, nor is any team. Would you imagine when the search started that it would have happened already? Yeah, probably.
By the Senior Bowl, yeah,
probably.
Which is this week, yeah.
Ideally that's what you want, but we'll see. There's still some time here.
Yeah, and for those of you wondering, well, why am I hosting the show with Andrew? Because my Senior Bowl trip got canceled because I could not get out on Monday. My flight, which I moved back, Andrew, because my wife and I wanted to clean off. I'm sure you did it. You don't live too far from me. You wanted to clean off the snow, so I took a later flight, and that wound up biting me in the tuchus, so to speak. Yeah, because I would miss my connection in Atlanta. So to go to the Senior Bowl, you cannot take a nonstop flight. You either go on American, you go through Charlotte, and Atlanta and Delta. And I took Delta, which I love. It's my favorite airline. Really.
Oh, I love Delta.
They don't have enough nonstops. But anyway, so that first time in 24 years, my first one, and Josh McCown and I laugh about that, was Josh McCown.
Way back.
Yeah. Josh McCown, he was at Sam Houston State. I could see it in front of me. He had an orange helmet. They might have been I don't know what they're.
I should know this because Tristan McCullum went there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Zion McCullum.
I don't know what their mascot is, but I just remember it was an orange helmet with some odd mascot on it.
Yes.
And who knew? Now he probably will be a head coach someday. Former Eagle, by the way. People forget in 2019. But getting back to this interesting situation. So we're going to connect the coaching search to the roster. And this, to me, talking to coaches over the years, especially offensive coordinator candidates or a defensive coordinator, doesn't really matter. They want to know is, okay, on offense now, who's my quarterback? The number one evaluation is, okay, quarterback, front office setup, free agency, what's your plan? Draft, okay, cap is way down the list. It's on the list, but it's way down because we know that players just simply don't get cut for cap reasons anymore. They just don't.
Right.
You just restructure. You find a way to keep a player. But like if you're another thing for Brian Daboll is they have over $100 million in cap space. Not that you want to use a lot. That means you're not doing very well, and you got to be careful about free agency. But look, that's a good thing. But this Eagles situation, Andrew, look at this thing here, right? You've got the Hurts. Here are the factors for an offensive coordinator. Jalen Hurts, are you for or against? Do you think you could win with him? Healthy offensive line. How many times have we talked about left or right? What happened to them last season? Is A.J. Brown going to be on the roster? They've got a lot of free agents, Andrew, on both sides of the football, particularly offense. Dallas Goedert, who came out of nowhere to score double-digit touchdowns.
Yep.
So, what kind of team is this going to be?
Yeah, those are the questions. I would have to
Anything
think
else you can add?
At the top of the list, you're asking, is A.J. Brown going to be a part of this equation? I would imagine the Eagles say, I don't know. They probably don't. It's too early to tell. So if you're a candidate and you're a little weary on that, coupled with the state of the offensive line, knowing that the Eagles like to play a certain style, you have Saquon Barkley, and he's been their driving force offensively. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of questions. And I also think there's the question of, are they going to have to marry their scheme and their ideologies with what the Eagles like to do, or are they going to have free reign to implement what they want to do through their vision? And so if there's any question there, that could spawn some apprehension.
So, Andrew, on what you just said, let's go back to 2 years ago. Kellen Moore brings in this offense. We saw it in the offseason and in training camp of 2024. oh, wow, it looks like really wide open, a lot of 11 personnel, some 10. And the opening game in Brazil was incredible. Fireworks.
Yeah, it
was awesome. I'm like, wow, this is exactly what we thought we were going to get. Oops. The next 2 months were dreadful. The passing game was awful.
And they had to rein it back.
On your point, exactly what you were talking about. So Kevin Patullo, there was his 5th year with Hurts. And, look, at least he knew him. I mean, obviously they had a decent working relationship. And you saw them rein things in, although I think since that Charger game, Hurts started seeing a little bit better. But you make the best point of all of this. If you're the Eagles, Andrew, and I interview with you, it's going to be on my list. We talked about Hurts, healthy offensive line, A.J. Brown, free agents. You made the best point of all. Can I run my scheme? Okay? I want a coordinator candidate is going to watch the tape, and you should go back 2 years because it's Kellen Moore.
Yes.
If anyone studied Kellen Moore's offense, what they ran 2 years ago was not his offense.
100%.
Not even close to it.
I always say, watch the Kellen Moore offense the year prior to Philadelphia and look at what he was doing with the Saints. It was nothing like what they ran in 2024. And you have to give Kellen Moore credit because he tried to run his system. He realized it wasn't working, and he had to simplify it, and they found a different approach. But that was not Kellen Moore's system.
No, and to me, Andrew, that's what it comes down to if you're an offensive coordinator. What can you run? What can't you run? And then I'm going to bring up a couple things here. Not that this has anything to do with Hurts, but because as we get into free agency, because I want to get this started, Tanner McKee, Andrew, Jeff and I talked about it on our Monday morning show. You could hear it, folks. You could watch it or you could listen to it. And this is all of the off-season questions. This is my top 10. Do you keep or trade Tanner McKee? 26 will be the last year of his rookie contract. And then what would you want? So, Andrew, it's twofold. Would you look to move him, and what would you want back?
I would if the price is right, and I think you're looking for, realistically, a second-round pick or a 3 that can become a 2.
Because that's what Jeff said. Maybe it could be conditional because I said, I'm not doing it for a 3.
No, the state of quarterback play around the NFL is so just look at it. It's poor.
There are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, man.
Yeah, and so you have – such a valuable commodity there in Tanner McKee. You know that if he needs to be pressed into service, he can deliver. But then again, you have to think, what would that be worth to another team? Because, again, you look across the NFL, there's a lot of teams that you could look at objectively and say, yeah, Tanner McKee could probably start for them.
Ready for this? I have 6 teams in the AFC who could not tell you who their quarterbacks are. The Dolphins don't have a quarterback. Tua's not going to be the quarterback. Jets don't have a quarterback. They missed completely on Justin Fields. Aaron Rodgers is not under contract. Mike McCarthy did say at his press conference he'd like to have him back. Well, we'll see what he wants to do. Cleveland, they don't know who the quarterback. They would like to be Shador, but they don't know that. Geno Smith is under contract for this coming season. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Okay, the Colts have no idea who their quarterback's going to be because Deion Jones is a free agent. He's come back from a torn Achilles. That's just 6 quarterbacks right there. We're not even to the NFC.
That's
on
why,
your point, Andrew.
Well, that's why you could make a case for a team being willing to seek out Tanner McKee. And then it just becomes the asking price. If I'm the Eagles, I'm not doing it for anything less than a second.
I wouldn't do it less for a second. And by the way, I'm not going to trade him to a team that's going to be picking the 20s. I want something in the top 10 in the second round. Now, Cardinals, they don't know who the quarterback's going to be. It's not going to be Kyler Murray. Now, the rest of the NFC, Tyler Shuck, the Saints like the way he closed. He'll be the quarterback. Other than that, it's pretty much set. Dak, of course. Giants know who the quarterback is. Eagles know who the quarterback is. Washington, Minnesota, Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago. Atlanta, it's going to be Penix when healthy. Carolina's going to be Bryce Young. Tampa knows it's Baker. Rams know. Now, they got to make a decision. Stafford's got to make a decision whether he wants to come back. The Niners know who their guy is. And Seattle knows who their guy is. So isn't it crazy? The AFC is like so wide open.
Yes.
They're like 8 teams. Andrew, they should – by this exercise we just had, there are 8 teams that don't know who their quarterback is. How could they take less than a 2?
Yeah, I think the Eagles hold all the cards there. And I wouldn't move off of Tanner unless you're getting something significant like a second-round pick.
One more question for you. Would you want Sam Howell back as the number 2 if McKee's gone?
Absolutely.
What do you like about him?
Well, I like that he's mobile, so it's similar to what you have there in Hurts. You don't have to drastically maneuver the offense to acquiesce to a different type of skill set, totally. But we've also seen Sam Howell perform well in different instances over his career when he has been
against the Eagles, especially
pressed into service. Yeah. So I think when you have a young quarterback like that who's been in the building, he's been in the room with Scott Loeffler, he's been in the building with Nick Sirianni, there's familiarity there. I think if you're able to and it makes sense, you do it.
All right, this segment was brought to you by the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689. That's 215-806-3689. This is the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB 107.3, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Bring your party to Chicky and Pete's. We can handle groups of all sizes at our locations across the Delaware Valley. Big parties, small parties, company parties, family parties, get-togethers with friends. Order off the menu or our special catering options. We can do it all, including coming to your home or office or special Play 2 party packages at our South Philly location. Book your party today. Hurry, the space is limited. Visit chickyandpete's.com for details. Chicky and Pete's is official caterer of the Philadelphia Eagles Touchdown Club and a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free Checking Plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, prove it.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. And Andrew, this segment is sponsored by Penworth Financial. The key to your financial future is Penworth Financial. Call them today at 267-997-4503. That's 267-997-4503. Or visit them at penworth.com. And Andrew, we were talking about the challenges of this offensive coordinator job. We outlined just about everything. Hurts, healthy offensive line, A.J. Brown, free agents. Can you run your scheme? We've also talked about, Jeff and I have talked about our own show, Stout's got to be, Jeff Stout, O-line coach and run game coordinator's got to be in concert with the new OC.
Sure.
Because you got to be able, whatever run scheme you want to run, you've got to get Stout on board with it. So that's a challenge. So there's a lot going on here, Andrew. And again, it plays into free agency. Who's going to be a good fit with a new coordinator? Who does he want back? Well, for instance, okay, we talked about quarterback. A.J. Dillon, forget it. They already have enough running backs. Let's get to. We talked about A.J. Brown, but let's get to tight end where they're barren. You've got E.J. Jenkins, who just re-signed.
And they also have Jaheim Bell.
And Jaheim Bell, who's an extreme long shot.
Yeah.
And Cam Latu, our guy, who's a good story, who showed he can block. I wish they'd use him correctly, though.
Well, hopefully they maybe revert him back to tight end. I'm curious to see what they do because they did sign Carson Steele, and we'll see about Van Sumeren.
You know what would be interesting? Now, Steele could play fullback. He could play running back. Will the new OC want to use a fullback? You never know because the Eagles did, remember, here when Kerry Blasingame was here.
That's right.
You know?
Gary Blasingame.
Yeah, who was blocking for Derrick Henry with the Titans when he came here.
He was teammates with Oren Burks at Vanderbilt.
There you go. Good call by you. So the big one is Dallas Goedert. Had a career year in terms of touchdowns. Just incredible. They finally used him in the red zone area. Well, it's just funny. All of a sudden they do that. I understand he's 31 next week. I get that. But the fact of the matter is he had a great year. Relatively injury-free. I think he missed one game due to a knee injury.
The Chiefs game.
Yeah. But overall, had a good season. As a blocker, it wasn't quite as good as you usually find from him, but he's always been a very good blocker, as a matter of fact. What are your thoughts about bringing him back?
Yeah, I think because he's 31 years old, Adam, and this is just the way that I'm viewing it, it would seem like it would play into the Eagles' favor if they want to get him back, because I'm not sure what he would command on the open market, knowing he does have the injury history, knowing that he is 31 years old. Yes, he broke an Eagles record for most touchdowns by a tight end, Pete Retzlaff. He beat his record. But I think you also have to take into account his rapport with Jalen Hurts. That's something that I've talked about for the past couple of years now. It's evident in training camp because he catches more passes from Hurts than any other player during the summer.
By the way, it's what Andrew's saying. It's so funny because we've been tricked so badly in our time working together, because we've used the example many times of DeAndre Swift catching like 50 balls in a practice.
Yeah, Will Shipley on the wheel route.
Will Shipley and wheel route. Yeah. Yep. Seeing his quickness in and out, but they would never get him the ball. And then now this past summer, we both saw it. Goddard, and even more than 24 training camp.
Yeah.
Goddard and Hurts hooked up big time. We're like, all right, we'll just see what happens. We're cautiously optimistic, just that our eyes were right. But it's funny, it wasn't so much in the passing game from the 20 to the 20. It's inside the 20 to the point where why didn't they use him in years past in the red zone like that?
Well, I would say this. For all of the vitriol that Kevin Patullo took this season, some of it warranted, some of it I thought was extreme. He was the only offensive coordinator that Dallas Goedert had in his time here that utilized him in the red zone regularly.
Funny.
Funny
how things work out.
Yeah, no.
Also, Grant Calcaterra, free agent, I don't see it. I mean, he's what bothered me is too often they would use him over Cam Latu. And we know Calcaterra, I know he's gotten a little bit better at it. Latu's a better blocker.
Yeah, much better.
I didn't understand the role that they used him in. Kylan Granson was relegated basically to special teams. He wasn't that movable tight end, that F tight end that I think they thought they were getting. For whatever reason, don't know. They just didn't use him as that guy. I was hoping they would, but he's a demon on special teams. He's so fast.
He was actually among the NFL leaders in special teams tackles, but
that's probably
surely wasn't why they signed him.
No, It was second. I mean, it was part of it, but it wasn't the main reason. Now, when I say this, I'm actually fairly serious about this. A big free agent is Fred Johnson. He did a good job, mate. He showed to me, because we knew he could play both right and left tackle. He did. He's a quality backup tackle.
Yeah, I actually group Fred Johnson and Brett Toth as two free agents that they provide depth. They're probably going to be, I would imagine, it's not going to be cost prohibitive to retain them. Certainly Brett Toth, but for Fred Johnson, even though he did start 9 games, I thought he did a solid job, and that you can make an argument that was Howie Roseman's best addition over the offseason, because he stepped in and he was pressed into service for half the season. So I think you have to find a way to keep both of those guys on the in-house.
So Brett Toth, prior to that one start, was the Giants' second game?
Giants was his first game. Then he started the Packers game.
Okay, so it was the Packers he started?
He actually started both Giants games. The first Giants game was left guard. Second Giants game was center.
Yeah,
and then
that was it.
And then the Packers game was center.
The second Giant game, he was phenomenal. It was one of these things where the heck did this come from? Like Brett Toth, Greg Cosell. I remember Greg when prior to doing that week's show of the Inside the Tape, he said, "Hey, we got to get tape of Brett Toth. You won't believe this." He was like, he couldn't believe it what he was watching, because remember, he was a tackle by trade. He's very tall.
That's right.
And most tall centers aren't very good because it's hard for them to crouch. He was so athletic. It was insane. Like he looked like a guy that started there for 10 years, Andrew. So not that you want to say a guy's a priority, but I was like, dude, you got to bring this guy back.
Absolutely. And Brett is somebody that I've talked to a lot this season. He puts a lot of pressure on himself, and he recognizes that where his deficiencies lie. But I think when you look at a story of development, entering year 7. Jeff Stoutland thinks the world of him. He went out there. He was very technically sound. The pin and pull blocks against the Giants where he's getting to the second level.
Unbelievable.
Moving well. I just was really happy for him because he's had to overcome a lot in his career. And I think he answered a lot of the skeptics out there that he can at least at bare minimum be a high-quality backup that they can rely on.
Remember, he can play guard, center, and tackle. That's like, who can do that?
That's invaluable.
And give him credit for because we know how many snaps he would put over Hurts' head over the years. Mm-hmm. He got it. Look, I have no idea why Stoutland stood by him this long. You got to give Stout credit. That's like, and I know for a fact
he's highly intelligent. Too.
I know that I believe they might have known each other for some reason. I know Stout had an insight on Brett Toth, maybe scouted him, I don't know. But I know for a fact that there's part of why Toth signed with the Eagles is because of Stout. And that's just an incredible stick-to-itiveness by this guy. I mean, he could have been out of the league. I mean, he's around 29 or 30, right?
I think he's 29. Yeah. But everybody that I've talked to, Jordan Mailata primarily, has just lauded Brett Toth for his intelligence, calling him one of the smartest guys. He called him like Big Brain Brett or something like that. And so,
I enjoyed listening to his interviews. Yeah, Toth's pretty good.
Yeah, I just think he did a nice job really starting to settle in there and take on a much more prominent role.
And then Matt Pryor, when they signed him, people kind of rolled their eyes, but he did start a bunch of games over the years for the Bears and Bengals.
Yeah, he played over 1,000 snaps last season at guard for the Bears, I believe.
And he didn't look great. Also offensively, is our guy. Well, now we say offensively, it's actually special teams. Braden Mann, who what an acquisition. And Braden on our show sitting at Chickies and Roosevelt Boulevard, that story about how the Jets kind of held him hostage. They wouldn't tell him kind of what they were going to do with him. And then, of course, he went to the Steelers. The Steelers had to make a decision. Are they going to cut him? Are they going to keep him? And give Howie Roseman credit. This is the guy that he wanted. Braden Mann's been a great story.
Yeah, unbelievable season from Braden. I thought he was snubbed from either an All-Pro or a Pro Bowl list. That was just me, my thoughts. But had a career high in average yards per punt, tied a career long with a 70-yard punt, had 20 punts inside the 20, and he bailed out an offense that was static for most of the season and really helped control the field position battle. So I think if you're the Eagles, you have to find a way to bring him back. And he wants to be back because I spoke to him during locker cleanout. So we'll see if they're able to make it work.
And contract extension eligible, the one on offense is Tyler Steen. Now, the question now for him is not extending his contract. Is he even going to start a right guard going forward? He was very up and down.
Yeah, I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was a detriment. I didn't think he was stellar, but he's passable. I think you can get by with someone like that. So I don't know that I would extend him right now, but he's somebody that I do believe can be a starting caliber lineman if you surround him with a healthier supporting cast.
I would try to re-sign Goddard, even if they get him back. It's not going to preclude them from drafting a tight end early.
No.
It's not, because Goddard, to me, is on a one-year deal at 31 years old with his injury history. You just can't commit to him past one season. But I absolutely would look to bring him back. They have nothing at the tight end position in terms of starting. No one's ready to start. Latu should have been used way more as their wide tight end. They used him more as an offset fullback, which was a mistake. That's part of that was, as small as that seems as a mistake, to me that hurt their run game. That was, Stout's got to get together with Jason Michael and whoever and say, listen, this has got to, like, they have to do their own self-scout. That's something they have to be better with. It's a small thing that could have been a big thing because, look, Barkley's numbers were way down last season.
Yeah, I think looking back, two injuries that we probably didn't talk enough about were Ben Van Sumeren, who got hurt on the first play of the season on the opening kickoff, and Johnny Wilson, who got rolled up on in training camp. He did the dirty, grimy work, blocking, freeing up teammates and things like that, and then they had big plans for Ben Van Sumeren, and both players were out before the season really got underway. So that may have helped, initiate a better run game in hindsight.
Now, on the other side, we're going to go over their free agent list on defense, which is very extensive, kind of where we think this could be headed, and also guys who could have their contract extended. This segment was sponsored by Penworth Financial. The key to your financial future is Penworth Financial. Call them today at 267-997-4503 or visit them at penworth.com. This is the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA on 1490. WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Come join us for happy hour weekdays from 4 to 6. Enjoy half-price orders of Chicky's wings, delicious pieces, scrumptious hot, cold, or fried shrimp, jumbo soft pretzel with a trio of tasty dips, plus $3 domestic bottles, $6 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. Come join our happy hour weekdays 4 to 6. Come taste and enjoy. Only at Chickies and Pete's.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250.
At Penn Community Bank, we're in the business of building thriving communities. That means breaking down the barriers to home ownership, supporting fair, affordable access to housing from Philadelphia to the Lehigh Valley, like our Home Opportunity Mortgage that empowers eligible borrowers with no minimum credit score, no down payment, access to grant programs, and so much more. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/home for more details. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
When an Eagles player gets hurt, the team takes care of him. When you get hurt, the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will take care of you. They understand that a severe accident can be a life-altering event. You need a reliable teammate to fight for you. The attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will get you great results. And if there's no recovery, there's no fee. Contact them today at 215-750-0110 for a free consultation. 215-750-0110 for a reliable ally that's on your side.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. So, Andrew, we went over the Eagles' free agent list offensively. Let's get to defense. Jalen Phillips did a nice job. I know people who get obsessed with sacks. Yes, he didn't have a big sack number. Pressure rate, really, really good. Outstanding versus run. He's long, and he stayed healthy with the Eagles.
He's very physical, and he sets the edge with violence and authority, and I think there's no coincidence that his arrival coincided with J-Wilkes Hunt really starting to turn the corner and reap the benefits of playing alongside someone who can be a headliner. I think that's really the important distinction here, Adam, is that Jalen Phillips is there's no question that he is the frontline player of that group, and I think everything that he said suggests that he wants to be here. He seemed really happy to be in Philadelphia, but now it's going to be up to the decision makers to try and make that happen. But I think that he should be a priority for sure.
I would agree with you. Josh Uche, I know you got to know him.
Yeah, I like Josh Uche. Selfishly, I'd love for him to come back because I enjoy talking to him. But I think for his career, it would make a lot more sense for him to go to a place where he's going to be more valued and be have more of a role as a pass rusher, because that's ultimately what he wants to do, get back to rushing quarterbacks.
He did a good job. We forget, he did a really good job.
I thought he did a really good job.
For the little they let him play, and then he just became a special teams player, and then that was pretty much it for him. So Josh Uche obviously probably would be somewhere else. Obo Okonkwo got hurt. He didn't really play a lot.
He tore his tricep. Yeah. I saw him at locker clean.
Was he wearing a brace, or was he?
No. He said he was back to full strength.
Good for him, man. Good for free agency. Good for him. Now, here's a question. BG showed he played a little bit more than we expected. He looked good. It was kind of hard for him in season to do this. He hasn't fully retired again. He's not sure what he's going to do. Would you take him back?
No, I think it's time to move forward. And also, if you're Brandon Graham, do you really want to go through the grind of training camp and all that over and over again?
He doesn't have to make a decision now, but I'm just saying overall. Yeah. No, I there's at this point, settle down, man. Stay healthy. You're going to be in the Eagles Hall of Fame, no question about it. What a great all-time Eagle.
And a great story coming back and making an impact.
Did a good job.
Transitioning inside, playing some interior defensive line.
In fact, it wasn't because he was actually literally lining up a tackle. Wasn't just because when he did it in years past there with Jim Schwartz, it wasn't really as a tackle. So he was actually lining up more inside. Is that really interesting? Because remember, he's listed 6'2". He's more like 6 foot 1/2 inch or 6'1".
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the longest arms in the world, but he's super strong and physical. Azeez Ojulari didn't have a great training camp. Showed a little bit before he got hurt. Then they put him on designation for return late. Don't see him returning. It was a lot of money for 1 year. It was just under $5 million. Didn't quite get there.
But the cupboard's really barren at edge rusher.
That's a big priority, yes.
If the price is right, you would think that you want to at least bring somebody back to absorb reps in training camp, someone who has some experience and maybe a little bit of upside if you're comparing that to maybe a day 3 pick or something.
So the edge rush group, okay, after we just got this done, so under contract, not very much. It's Nolan Smith who had a disappointing season. It's Jalix Hunt who had a breakout season. And other than that, I mean, they really did not use Jahad Campbell as an edge rusher. They used him as an add-in defender against the run. The tape showed he really was not an edge rusher. They have a lot of work. They need to add 3 guys there.
3,
Andrew.
easily. Yeah. And Jahad Campbell's going to be out of the equation for that, especially if they don't bring back the Kobe Dean.
Because he'll be playing inside.
Yeah, because he'll be playing alongside Zach Bond.
And Kobe Dean, as we get the linebacker, he's the one who's up. I know the fans are obsessed with Dean. They love him, and we get it. What an unbelievable medical story.
And a great, tremendous person.
Super, super high football IQ. Great story development. 2 major injuries back-to-back. The Lis Franck rupture. Then the torn patella tendon. Back-to-back seasons. Medical marvel. But Jahad Campbell they traded up for in the first round. He's got to be the guy. I'm just sorry. They don't play. Folks, they're not playing a 43 where you play 3 linebackers. They only play 2.
Right. Yeah, Nakobe Dean, tone setter. I viewed him as the heartbeat of the defense. He's going to provide a lot of value elsewhere. I would imagine. I have a hard time envisioning it would be here in Philadelphia. It's a luxury to have 3 starting caliber off-ball linebackers, not a necessity, and they drafted Jahad Campbell in the first round. Will Jahad Campbell be able to set the tone like Nakobe and attack downhill and all that? I don't know. We're going to find out, but I don't think that they have a player quite like Nakobe on the roster.
All right, at cornerback, let's go to the secondary. Dory Jackson did a yeoman's job, got off to the rough start against Dallas. Eventually, teams weren't thrown to him at him for 2 months. Then he kind of held up, and then it got a little dicey late. Nice story. If he wants to come as a backup for he got just over $1 million this season. I give him $1.5 million to be a backup, but I'm drafting another starter, or I'm moving Cooper DeJean at corner. I know fans don't want to do that. I'm just saying what the options could be.
Yeah, selfishly, kind of along the lines of Josh Uche, I would bring Adoree Jackson back, if for no other reason to be maybe that Isaiah Rodgers third corner role, third outside corner, provide some veteran depth and maybe mentor a younger player should they draft one in April.
And then with Reed Blankenship, when we go to safety, it's him and Marcus Epps are up. Blankenship, he's the leader of the secondary in terms of setting everything up. Not a great athlete. It does show up at times. Andrew, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think he's just a little bit too limited from a coverage standpoint. Great story. Vic Fangio loves him. He's sort of that traffic cop back there, ensures everybody's being assignment sound. But I think you need to improve a little bit more athletically there and pair somebody like that with Drew Makuba.
So Drew Makuba will be one of the starters. And then the question is, Epps' contract is up. He's a backup. He did a good job. He had a start, but he's more of a backup. Sidney Brown is not a starter.
No.
All he is a special teams player. That one was a miss. Now, this is another thing to watch out with Cooper DeJean. If Vic Fangio decides, his future is not at nickel, safety is in the books there. And that will actually play in, because this is a conversation Howie's got to be having with Vic to end the season. Okay, where are we lining them up? Because this impacts our roster. I got to know whether I'm going to approach Reed Blankenship with a contract, or if I'm not, what is our plan?
Right. You have to have a plan because we talked about edge rusher. Well, they don't have a lot there at safety either.
Nope. Now, contract extension eligible. These are big. It's a lot of them on defense. Moro Ojomo. He's now played 3 seasons. Really good season. Solid football player. Completely different from Milton Williams. Milton Williams is more of a power player. Ojomo's at speed upfield. Great first step. Win rate, very, very good. Good football player. He's eligible. Jalen Carter, that one's going to be big. Now, the thing is, with Drew Rosenhaus, his agent and Howie, they've done a ton of deals together. Eagles know his medical history. He's kept the off-the-field stuff in check, but he's got a medical history now. Jalen Carter, that one will be interesting. Jordan Davis, major breakout season. The Eagles smartly, Howie did. I didn't agree with it at the time, but I get why they did it. It was actually smart because this is why they did it. If he had a breakout season, which he did, and they can't get an extension done, they got him for 27, and they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I think Ojomo should be a priority, to answer your question.
Oh, you would get Ojomo? No, who would – okay. When you look at Carter, Ojomo, and Davis, how would you – because you don't have to do –
Yeah, you don't. I guess I would do Carter first, but you also have questions about the shoulders.
Right.
Something he's probably going to have to revisit in the offseason. He admitted as much when he was returning from the shoulders injury.
It's true. Davis, this will be his 5th year. This is coming up his 5th-year option year. Carter, this will be his 4th year. Boy, I cannot believe Jordan Davis will be in his 5th year.
I know.
So Jeff and I, in 2022, we were at the Maxwell Club Awards in Atlantic City. I mean, I'm not going to say he'll wait for. I wouldn't know, but he looked about 375, 380 when we saw him. When I saw him at this year's training camp, I'm like, where did his stomach go? It was crazy. I mean, he couldn't even fill out his jersey. He lost so much weight.
He lost a lot of weight. He takes it seriously, and you could see the motor that he had. Now, there's one player who I wouldn't extend that's on your list there, and that would be Nolan Smith.
No, I wouldn't. You can't, it's about cash justification. There's nothing to justify extending his contract. Why would you do it? He hasn't done enough to warrant that, where clearly Davis has, Ojomo has, and Carter has. Now, the next question is, let's say Vic Fangio over the next couple of years, Joe Casper got promoted to DB's coach, which is what we expected. A, are they going to still run Vic's scheme in 2 or 3 years? Because if you're going to extend Ojomo and Carter and Davis, over the next 2 years, they're probably almost certain to all three get extended, whether it's 2 this year, 1 next year, or vice versa. Are you going to run that scheme in the future? Because that does matter. Because in Green Bay, they have to make a decision what scheme they're going to run. Well, that impacts Lucas Van Ness. Van Ness was drafted for the 34. They ran it 1 year, and then Joe Barry was fired. And then Jeff Hafley runs at 43. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't fit their scheme.
Right, and we have
that's important.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. We have no way of knowing, but all we can go off of is that they had an infatuation with the Fangio style before they got the real deal.
Yes, yeah. And Howie and Nick were aligned with that. They both liked it, and that was a heck of a get. And their relationship with Vic Fangio absolutely played a part into it. So to me, I would look hard at Jalen Phillips. If his agency is willing to be reasonable. Now, if he wants multiple years, let's say he wants
3 years.
Well, let's say he wants 3 years, but 2 years fully guaranteed at, let's say, $20 million a year. I'm going to say thank you. See ya.
Yeah, thanks for the memories, yeah.
It's the second year I'm worried about. It's the second year with it. He's had Achilles and ACL. That does worry me. But I'm absolutely looking at him. And, again, Nakobe Dean, if Campbell wasn't here, that's not even a question. You're going to do everything you can. Now, Nakobe Dean changed agencies this past summer. I believe he went with Mike McCartney, former Eagles pro personnel director.
That's right.
Right, who's got Kirk Cousins of note and several veteran players. But that and Howie and Mike have known each other forever, so that will be an interesting negotiation. But it's hard for him. Just very hard, folks. You can't pay everybody, and you got to justify that Jihad Campbell pick. So that'll be very, very interesting. Oh, by the way, next week we will be at Chicken and Pizza at Parks Casino in Ben Salem, PA. This has been the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Andrew DiCecco, it's Adam Caplan, and we'll see you next week.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.